Hey, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be pretty interesting. It's actually on deploying Laravel for free on serverless Vercel. I actually didn't know that this is possible. I found it on Caleb Porzio's blog. The blog post is from October 2020. I don't know, I missed it, I guess. But it goes over the process and the 3 files you need to create to actually get Laravel deployed on Vercel. I thought it was really interesting, and it's super useful for creating demo sites or in-progress projects, or anything that doesn't really require database or a production kind of quality server. In this video, I'm actually going to go over just creating those 3 files and what it looks like to deploy, and also I have a demo app that is deployed. I would appreciate if you could go to the link below. I actually extracted the file creation into its own package. So you install a dev dependency, run the install command, uninstall the dev dependency, and you have all the files you need. So if you do find value in this video, I just ask that you give this a star. Of course, I give credit where credit is due. This is Caleb's thing, but it's there if you ever want to use it. So just to start off, basically, to do this, you use a PHP Vercel runtime, or Vercel PHP rather, and that's this. So currently the version 0.4 is the latest, and that's PHP 8. You basically just specify this runtime within your vercel.json config file inside of your project, which we'll create. And it uses this to generate or run the PHP within this serverless instance, I guess you could say, or call it. This is what the Vercel dashboard looks like. I haven't used it before. This is new to me as well. It allows you to log in with GitHub, and you just create an application, link it to your Laravel repo on GitHub, and then you could deploy straight from there. But before you do that, I'm going to show you I have this fresh Laravel application completely unchanged. And what I'm going to do is actually just go create the files we need to make this work. So the first thing we need is actually, according to Caleb's blog post, is an API/index.php file. And so the reason we need this, and let's create it now, API index.php. The reason we need this is because Vercel expects an API/index.php sort of entry point into the application. And so what we're going to do is just require the actual index.php that Laravel uses. If you're familiar with Laravel, which I'm sure you are considering you're watching this video, you'll know that that's in the public directory here. So all we have to do is just require directory, and we have to go one directory back /public /index.php, and that's it for that file. We're good. And so once we have this created here, we also need to create a Vercel .vercel ignore file. So the .vercel ignore, let's go back to the article. .vercel ignore, the contents of this are simply going to be vendor. And the reason we want this is because we don't want to deploy the /vendor folder or directory to the serverless instance or whatever, because it's not useful. It'll install all the stuff we need anyways. So the last file we need is actually the most important one. It's the vercel.json. And I'm going to copy and paste this because it's a lot, but I will explain the most important bits of it. So this is what it looks like. Basically what we need to know is up top, we have our env variables that we need set in our server anyways. So production, if you're in production, you probably want debug disabled. You want to set your app URL. If you're interested in what this is, I'd recommend reading Caleb's blog post there. He explains it. Up here, we want Vercel version 2. There's version 1 and 2 as far as I know. This is the entry point into our app, and it's going to use the Vercel-PHP runtime that I showed earlier. And it's going to create the whole application using this. We, of course, want to use 0.4.0 because that's PHP 8, and that's the latest version. And here, you're basically just configuring where the routes are. And we, of course, have a /API/index.php entry point, so we should be fine. Those are the only 3 files that you need. And of course, like I mentioned, the package that I'll link below will actually generate these for you. Very easy to do this. So once you have these created and pushed up to GitHub, you can go back to your Vercel. And in your application, you can just click deploy. And these changes should be brought back into Vercel. I'm not going to go over this because this is the easiest part. it's just a deploy button. But one thing you'll need to do before it'll actually work is go to your settings, go to your environment variables, and configure an app key, and actually just paste in a key. So you can do PHP artisan key :generate locally, copy that value and paste it in here with the uppercase app underscore key, and that should be fine. This is something that you shouldn't set within your Vercel.json because you're pushing it up to version control. You probably don't want to expose this anywhere other than on the actual production server. Of course, server in air quotes because it's serverless. And that's where you set that. And once this is set, it should absolutely work. Now, one thing to note, like I mentioned, I think I mentioned before, there's no database, no queuing, none of that. So you could use external services, whether that's AWS, DigitalOcean, to get those things. Or if you need an actual production server, well, then you can go to Forge or Cloudways, which is link is in the description below if you want to help out. But the other thing to note also is that if someone doesn't view your app in a little while, it might take some time to sort of warm up the instance and generate everything. But if it's constantly being used, then it'll be pretty quick. This one I just used recently. So as you can see, it's not super fast, but it's also not slow. It just depends on when you load it. And this is an actual Vercel deployed Laravel application. I could prove it to you, and it is dynamic because I've created a route that's /hey/ let's say David, my name. But if you had a different name like Kevin, it would work as well. So that's it for deploying a Vercel. I thought it was really cool. Just makes it really easy to deploy a project that's in progress, or maybe a static site, or even just deploy an actual Laravel application, but have your services hosted externally for some reason. I thought it was cool. Do let me know in the comments if you like this kind of stuff, what else you want to see. I'm going to try to get back to Livewire and maybe Alpine and potentially Inertia stuff later on in the next videos. But do let me know if you enjoyed this. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.